Hello and welcome to the Neville Richards Premier League Round 10 review, Round 11 preview. Mark Hayes, Matt Milne, a monumental week, mate. We saw something we did not expect.
It was amazing, Hazy. You should have seen it here. The Tornadoes just blew away the Peakers there on Saturday. I've never seen a whirlwind of emotion on Saturday afternoon. It was actually frightening. Yeah.
You started, you've got a high bar here.
I have, mate.
You've got 20 minutes ahead of you.
I was so excited after their victory. It was fantastic to see. Those Peakers just slumped down again.
Now, who was excited? I heard a little rumour about John Hill.
Johnny Hill, it's actually the most excited I've seen of him since he's bought a new driver or a Scotty Cameron putter. He was up and about 6:30 Saturday night. I get a private text message. The Orchid wanting to know how the team went, and yes, he was pumped.
The Orchid. Let's go through it. It's a massive result. We said last week that had it gone as slated, the Peakers would have basically qualified for the finals, and the Tornadoes would definitely have been out. So, I'm not going to say it's a stay of execution, but you need to keep going that way, the Tornadoes. But a score of 171, which is a massive score anyhow, against 159 for the table-topping Peakers. Good enough, Matt, not only for the shocking win, but for the Callaway Balls.
It did. They did become the highest scoring team for the round. We had 9 players for the Tornadoes. The call to arms actually worked, and they all come out, except for Jeff Holland missed out on the victory. I don't think it really mattered, because rumour has he played at Barwon Heads on Monday in Barwon Heads plate.
So he must have been saving himself to go around there in a really good patch of form.
Yeah, and represent the club, and had a little 16 down for the 18 holes. Have you ever heard a score so bad?
16 down.
16 down he had at Barwon Heads, so they obviously didn't miss him at Premier League. They all held him up there. So for the Tornadoes, our scorers were Sean Ward on 37, Judy Said on 36, the Orchid, Johnny Hill, 34, Paddy Kennedy and Phil Stevens on 32. So great array of scoring there that got the team over the line. While the Peakers, the backbone again was the Vogel loved up couple of Norma and Peter on 35 and 33. Yanni Lathuris 31, Rod Allen 30, and the former Drayton medalist favourite Lee McMurray on 30. As said, it was the upset of the season. It was an amazing scenes here. The indication of how important this was after our spray of them last week, that Pat Kennedy got home at 5:30 a.m, had half an hour's sleep, then come and teed off at 7:45, and then end up having 32 points, his best score for the season. He didn't want to get razooed on the video, so he turned up and played. The Peakers were extremely disappointing. They're two big guns, Yanni and Lee. May just thought there was just turn up and win, but unfortunately, as we can see there, it didn't happen.
And Lee, you checked with the bookies. Lee no longer his favourite?
No, he was very disappointing actually on Saturday.
Wow.
Actually wanted the round cancelled due to the safety of the golfers in the way the conditions were. Did not want to be here in a very negative frame of mind at the moment, so hopefully he can improve for next week, or for this Saturday coming.
Can we take Drayton medal votes off him for that?
Well, I would think he should revert to 0.
Like having too many men on the field?
Yeah, he just soaked it up.
Wow. You're walking very thin ice there, Lee. I don't know. You can't slow the progress of the Premier League train.
I know, he won't be happy with this either. This conversation, he will not be happy. He will want a point of return on this.
Really? Matt, there are a couple of other big matches. The others that was the only one that changed from the original time that these teams all clashed with each other was round 3. That was the only flip-flopped result. The other 3 went the same way they did in round 3, including the Warriors over the Bullies.
Yes, the Warriors got over the line 164 to 153. We had 5 players for the Bullies and 6 for the Warriors. For the Bullies, we had actually the recently engaged Matthew Miles. But maybe Engagement Life's actually agreeing with him. He had 35 points. Stan Maskell had 30, Bill Reid 30, Johnny Wooten 29, and Wayne Dixon 29. While the Warriors were led by the diminutive Skeeter Howard on 41.
Diminutive, that's the bar again.
Yes. Ando Wooten, after his little COVID isolation, had 34, his best round of the season. Neil Keskinen 32, Richie Howes 29, and Nipper Dodds on a broken knee 28. As I said, Skeeter and Ando sort of led the team from the front there. Actually, prior to golf, he wasn't too happy, Skeeter, being a Tigers supporter. He just didn't know how to feel after that draw the previous night. But yeah, when you have sort of scores in the 20s, it does make it hard to win, in case with Mr. Wooten and Mr. Dixon there.
Nice, I like that. Just going back to Marlsey there, I mean, big congratulations from all of the Premier League. Nadine, who's just one of the loveliest young women you'll ever meet, he's batting so far above his average.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's incredible.
He's a good catch, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Does he tell you that?
Well, he's a lot better catch than what he used to be.
Congrats, Marlsey and Nadine. That's fantastic.
So that's our first Premier League engagement. I wonder if we'll get invited to the wedding.
Well, depends if we're nicer than we have been to Marlsey in the last few weeks. I think if the Vogels ever get retie the knot, we should get invited.
Yeah, yes, the loved up couple of the competition.
The third match for discussion, Matt, is the Hookers and the Crusaders.
Yeah, very, very tight tussle here, with the Hookers just getting over the line 162 to 159. Valiant effort by the Crusaders, who only had the 5 players on Saturday, so they nearly got there but just couldn't quite get over the line. For the Hookers, our old mate Dog Breeder Ian Woodhouse on 33, Johnny Bowman 33, Brian Barrell 33, Ken Hughes 32 and Jill Barker 31, while the Crusaders 5 players were Johnny Leaking, returned to form on 34, Bill Adams 33, Robbie Stiglbauer 32, Manny Golfus 31 and Brian Hazel 29. The Crusaders had a couple withdraw on the day, which has probably cost them in the end. One included was One Cloud Siotis, back to his old ways. Sue Holland and Jan Cogger. I'm not sure what's going to go on with your bet, Daisy, but...
Well, I can confirm that that the bet was on last week. We had to get 55 points from the round 10 and the upcoming round 11 match from Jan Cogger to get the old whiskers to disappear. Just still debating about what to do. I mean, we've been issued threats by John Bowman, who has no authority in this realm whatsoever, like zero. So that's just, I'm dismissing that like...
Yeah, well, it should go to the Premier League committee.
Yeah, which is us.
Yeah, correct.
Look, what do you think I should do? Do you think I should be magnanimous, or do you think I should request that she still tries to make 55 points?
I think maybe the 2 rounds. So the next 2 rounds that she plays has to be 55.
What if I up it to 60?
No. We want to really see the whiskers go. And I don't want to see Jan playing a Mankini. So.
No, it wasn't a Mankini. She was going to play as Where's Wally?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's your rather see the beard go.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. I'll just have a think. I'll have it before we get to the Crusaders game in the preview. I'll come up with a solution to the problem.
Okay. All right. That's fine. The other note of contention, or I should point. Last time these teams met, Brian King was the highest scorer in the event. This week he had 24.
Well, he might have been sort of still celebrating his fame.
Well, apparently he's been noticed in the general population for his appearance on the video, and he's quite chuffed about that. So if you do see Brian out and about, maybe make mention of him being his celebrity status. It's not like looking for Chris Hemsworth, it's looking for Brian King.
Who would have thought that we could have brought King into the highest point of fame of his life?
He's up and about with it.
All right, so that leaves us with the fourth match and final of the round 10 variety, Pirates and Goblins.
Yes, Pirates went down to the Goblins 167 to 159. Lowly, I suppose, attended game this one, with 5 players from the Pirates and 6 for the Goblins. Pirates were led by young Michael McNeil with a quick fire 38, Yvette Pollock with 35, Captain Solahub 31, Vice Captain Heaton 29 and Johnny Powell 26. Probably cost the guys there. While the Goblins, Gary Haywood had a nice 40, Pete DeFazio 33, Dale Pollock 33, Daniel Hopgood 31 and Toby Prime 30. He was a bit of a contention for you last week. But yeah, the Goblins just got over the line, just too consistent through there. And then the major disappointment was Darren Heaton again. He just can't seem to put a decent score together at the moment.
Mr. Haywood's very impressive score.
He has. He's been, I think the last 3 weeks he's been really good. Plus playing well on Tuesday, so his form's continuing.
Yeah, nice work, Gary.
All through.
Very well played. So that brings us to a quick review of the ladder. A fair bit of movement, but strangely, the bottom team and the top team are both still in the mix to make and or miss finals. So as you see, things really tightening up at the top end of the ladder, strangely enough, because the Peakers are looking suddenly wobbly. Wouldn't have said that at any previous stage, but that tees up a massive game between the Hookers and the Goblins, currently second and third respectively.
It is. It's going to be a massive clash here. The last time they met, the Hookers actually were victorious, fairly convincingly, really, 174 to 163. So we had for the Hookers last time, Ian Francis, Lynn Kirby and the President all had 36. While for the Goblins we had Hoppy, Jen Edmondson and Marion Kay were sort of the standout performers for their team. You could argue that they're probably the two most consistent teams this year. Goblins are actually our highest scoring team for the season so far in this, and the Hookers are actually have had the least amount of points scored against. So it is probably a classic offense versus defensive game this week.
So you're suggesting the Hookers have been lucky?
Well, I reckon you could argue that. If the Goblins win, they could take second place here as well, just with the way the percentage and that is going to work here. Now, Gary Haywood is oozing confidence at the moment, informed player in the comp and probably even in the club at the moment. They should be an inclusion of Jen and Rick Edmondson this week. Oh, no, sorry, Rick Edmondson's on another golf trip, boozing away up at Tokemel, so he won't be here again. Do you
have to spend a certain amount of time in 3223 to be a member?
Be classed. No, as long as you pay your fees, you'll be fine. But the big one I've got here this week is if the Hookers are win, they need an immense improvement from Lynn Kirby. Ooh. I'm putting it on Lynn this week.
Is this a Milne missile?
No, not a missile, just a little nudge. But her last 4 rounds that she's played have been 24, 26, 20 and 27.
That's very un-Lynn-like.
So for a player off a 19 handicap, the scoring's actually deplorable. Her husband, Paul, is a very inferior golfer to Lynn, actually scored more than her last week. And to show you how poor Lynn has been so far, her average is identical to her teammate Brian King. And we know how poorly a golfer he is. And Lynn, you are so much better golfer than Brian. So I'm going to put it to Lynn to knuckle down this week and focus on your game. Because if you can play somewhere near your handicap, I think you can be successful over the Goblins.
Wow. That's a very stern bit of advice there. I like that.
Yep, happy?
Yeah, very, very sharp.
I've got 3 more to go like that.
Any more missiles?
Yeah, there's 3, one for each contest this week.
I like it a lot. So the second one up for debate or discussion is the Crusaders and the Warriors. Now, we had a bit of a discussion as we viewed the ladder, and I think this is for Jan.
Yeah.
I think I'm prepared to give her another crack at the Whiskers.
Yep.
But I'm going to give her a 2-shot penalty.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So the next 2 rounds she plays, she's got to get to 57 points in total.
Which is still feasible and doable.
29 and 28. I mean, a player of her, standing and substance should be able to get that done. If she can, get out of bed and not worry about, the rain, sort of Wizard of Oz style, she should be okay.
Yeah, she should be. And I thought she was actually a golfer like that didn't worry about the conditions, but anyway, we'll just move right along. So the last time that they met, the Crusaders lost in this tussle 160 to 168. Barry Doyle and Ando were the high scorers for the Warriors, while the Crusaders were led by Manny Golfus and Johnny Leaking. The Warriors have returned to form, and they'll be able to continue with it, but they're just going to need some lifts from some of their players. They'll be strengthened by Darren Wilson returning, hopefully Jeanette Johnson, while the Crusaders will be hoping for the one cloud to reappear, Lee Ciotis. Hopefully Sue Hullen's recovered. Normie Evans has actually returned from a golf trip to Barham. And who knows, Benny Hoskin may peg it up this week if he's able to. He's been in COVID protocols. Reckon he's out?
Halley's Common will be back before Ben tees it up again.
Really? Okay. Well, we've already touched base on Jan Cogger there. We'll see what goes from there. But in this one, if the Crusaders are to win, they need an improved massive performance from Brian Hazel.
Oh.
Yeah, Brian Hazel rates himself as a golfer, as all of you know. He likes to be the leader of the team, likes to be a high performance performer, but what's he brought to the Crusaders this year?
I'm tipping you're about to tell us.
Squat, diddly squat. He's averaged under 30 points. For someone off a 9, 10, 11, 12 handicap, just doesn't cut the mustard. He needs to show some ticker and show some heart, like your Victorian Veteran Golfers Association spirit. You need to lift for the Crusaders.
That says it all. The third match for discussion is this is suddenly a much more important game than it might otherwise have been. The Pirates and the Peakers.
This is going to be huge, Hazy. Huge. We've got Peakers won last time pretty easily, 176 to 162. McMurray had 40 last time. Pete O'Neill and Yarny 35, while Soda Pop Solahub had 37. Mickey McNeil 35 and Justin McGrath 31. I see this as a massive danger game for the Peakers.
I do too.
They had early season form with the lads, while the Pirates, they need their vocal members of the group to stand up and perform. I was going to give little Solahub a little rip, but he's actually not going to be here. He's going to the snow.
Yeah, it's very sort of Melbourne.
Melbourne-ish, yeah. So one thing that I actually have got here is I've got the captain's armband from the self-appointed captain Solahub. He's decided that it shouldn't go to Darren Heaton because he's so poor.
Oh, is that right? I was going to ask. Surely it just gets handed straight
over the top. So he's actually wanted to appoint it to Mickey McNeil, one of the youngsters of the team who's actually been performing pretty well, and he hopes that he'll be able to live up to the expectations of wearing that pink band.
Wow.
So I'll keep that in the pro shop for Mickey for when he comes in, and he will carry that around.
What do you think that's going to do to Darren Heaton's confidence?
I've already sin-binned him, so it's probably going to take him even worse. So
You've sin-binned him?
I've sin-binned him already.
How long for?
For the rest of Premier League.
Oh,
Yep. He might play well during the week, but during Premier League rounds, he's rubbish. So the Pirates will welcome back Justin McGrath after being oiled up by Darren Wilson on holidays last week. Johnny Crossett should be back.
We didn't end up seeing any photos of that.
No, there was no photo correspondence, which was disappointing. David Newman's probably a new one cloud as well. Last couple of weeks pulled out due to the weather, and his wife did say he was a bit soft on the weather front with golfing. So I am really concerned for the Peakers, as discussed. Dominant all year. There's cracks appearing. As I said about Lee last week, just didn't want to play, didn't want to be here. Negative mood. This week, actually, the Vogels are away as well. They've been spine the last couple of weeks. So
honeymoon?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, off to Perth, I believe. So spending some time together. So their players will have to try and cover the loss of those who have been the top scorers the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they have been carrying the can for the Peakers, and I agree with you. Massive danger game coming up here. It doesn't look like it on the ladder, but on form could go any direction.
Correct.
Last game of round 11 is another blockbuster. It's the Bullies and the suddenly white-hot Tornadoes.
They are. They're on everyone's tongue at the moment. The Bullies are 5th, Tornadoes 8th. So the Bullies, if they lose, could lose touch with the top 4 there, and the Tornadoes can really cause some problems coming to the back half of the season. Last time they played, the Bullies demolished the Tornadoes 171 to 141. The Bullies had Swaney on 41, Billy Reid 36, while the best the Tornadoes could muster was really 29 points and 28. So
that doesn't get it done.
Nah. So the Bullies really need to keep this to stay in touch. Swaney needs to turn up for a change. He's been pulling out late at the last minute again, but generally when he has played, he's performed. So you need to get your clubs here Saturday morning to peg up for your team. Now we've also got here that the player that needs to live for this team is Chris James.
Chris James.
He was
You
actually...
gave him a tiny little sizzle a couple of weeks ago. You're going to give him a proper bait.
Well, he's actually been earmarked by, I suppose, their captain, Matt Miles, that he could be the smoking gun of the competition.
This smoking gun?
Leading into the finals. Like, his highest score for the season...
Does that mean he's already gone off?
No. Well, his highest score for the season's been 27 so far, which is disgraceful. He's actually been given the moniker of the postman.
The postman?
Not because he delivers, but he always goes missing. So that's why he's got he needs to prove us wrong. The Tornadoes will be sky high with confidence this week. They can shape the finals. Phil Stevens is going to be a massive loss. He's going to be away boozing on the golf trip. And I think he could potentially missing out on savouring another Tornadoes win. And I'm sure Matt Miles would hate to lose to Wardy because there's a bit of a grudge match amongst the teams there. So,
is there any side bets going on?
No, I haven't heard. I suppose because Miles is getting married, he needs to save all his cash. So, might be just pride on the line.
No, fair enough. Now, Matt, we've obviously had a situation this week where the course has taken a bit of additional rain. We're up to sort of a roughly 370 mils, I think, for the year. Which is a lot more than normal by this stage. And the carts were taken off the course from Tuesday through Friday. There'll be a decision made on Saturday's cart availability, I suppose, on Friday afternoon. What's going to happen here in terms of the Premier League? If we come up with a plan?
Yeah, we've been through and I suppose assessed the teams that have players that do use carts, and it's actually pretty even that if one team's got 2 carts players, the other team's got 2, so it's fairly even in that way. We will assess. We are going to go to the Premier League organisational structure, not us, actually Premier League themselves, to ask them some advice on this, whether we amend the amount of scores that can be used for the round or see where we go from there. But we will let you know a little bit closer to the date as to what that is. But hopefully the weather will stay nice for the next few days and we can get the course dried out and we can have those vehicles back on course.
Been amazing to go this far. I think it's 4 or 5 years without carts being taken away.
Yeah.
So tribute to Steve and his staff to keep us on the course so long with the carts. So thanks, boys. Great job as always. Again, a massive thanks to Neville Richards, our naming rights sponsor, huge supporter. We'll get him in here soon so that he can be part of this frivolity. Your mates at Callaway, awesome as always.
Yes, they've been fantastic. And I just want to say a special mention to my old mate Hazy. It's his birthday today. 72 today. No, happy birthday, mate. I hope you had a good one.
Thanks, mate.
I hope you enjoy the Canadian club there, and a cheers to you.
Cheers.
Happy birthday.
Thanks to everyone.